This is Betstars and Stripes with Dr. Turf, Ed Wyatt and Alice Gander.
10 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock. It is Betstars and Stripes. Darren Parkin here, about to welcome our panel. A reminder, of course, brought to you by Betstar, betstar.com.au. And the Betstar Blast is the must-read weekly newsletter that is the whole sports community talking and laughing. Subscribe to the Blast at betstar.com.au and prepare yourself for a huge quota of Friday funnies, as well as all the best promos and special offers. Straight from Aliskander himself, the Hobart Hurricanes are 1 for 59 off 7 overs. They need 173 runs to beat Brisbane, and you got Perth taking on Adelaide a little bit later on. We'll welcome Ed Wyatt first of all, our US sporting expert, of course. Ed, welcome.
Darren, how are you?
Going along very well. And Dr. Turf, we'll also welcome you. And I never thought I'd hear today that there was a race on, and it actually slipped your mind. But Alco Pop running third. So.
Yeah, I must admit, Dash, g'day, I didn't take a great deal of interest in Hong Kong today. I was watching the golf, and there was 3 race meetings here, and I got otherwise involved.
What you make of the finish of the golf? The old boy,
well,
Peter
extraordinary,
Senior,
absolutely extraordinary. Peter Senior with, he's a wonderful old player, and he's actually had a great year on the Seniors Tour in America this year. He won over $1 million on the Seniors Tour.
Was that right?
I didn't know. That's unbelievable. I think he came about 5th or 6th in the Seniors Tour this year. Bernhard Langer wins it every year. But Senior had a great year. I thought Justin Rose would beat him in the run. John Senden imploded. He had a
10 over in the 82 in the
had
last
an
round.
Absolute nightmare, John Senden, and Brendan Jones and Cam Percy filled the other minor spots. So great result, really, particularly for Peter Senior, who's 53, I think he is, and old marvel.
Brendan Jones had that horrible position of just having to sit back knowing I can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
I just need Peter Senior to slip up here. We'll also welcome Teo Palazzeri, who, as we said, has subbed in for everybody. He's hosted the program. He's subbed for Ed, for Doc, and now for Aliskander, who's taking a well-earned break. But Teo, nice to have you here.
He's at a party.
Again.
Don't go saying he's
Let's be honest.
I mean, what's the point of
Here
lying?
go bookies, yeah.
He's having a party. He's on the Terps, and he's
his 8th Christmas party.
Not
maybe?
coming in here tonight. Al, if you're listening.
That's all right, though, because I will be taking us through the course of the show through the great odds on betstar.com.au for both the NBA title and also the NFL games coming up overnight.
We'll probably start with the NBA. We've got to say, it was a cracking round of NFL last week, and I think this week's round is even more mouth-watering, particularly Monday Night Football. So we'll get onto that.
One thing we wanted to touch on, first of all, when we get to NFL, in fact, we'll touch on it now before we do the games, but we're talking about how they were going to handle it, but the emotion around Kansas City, an extraordinary performance last week in the face of horrible tragedy, and we know emotion can do sometimes wonderful things to the psyche of a playing team, and they were able to come out and snap an 8-game losing streak.
Yeah, big win. Yeah, big win for them after that terrible story, that murder-suicide story.
Yeah.
Joe Van Belcher, just a terrible story, but you talked about they wanted to play. It was their, that's what they do. It did present some scheduling problems. I know that sounds trivial when you're talking about a life, but that's part of the issue as well. Yeah. I felt bad for Carolina, really. It's very hard for them to have to come in and play in that environment as well. They're suddenly affected by this whole thing too, and that's a weird one, I think.
Not exactly sure, and we'll talk about it later on, but that may not have been a one-off for the Chiefs. I know we've been bagging them all year. I mean, I think it was round 10 or something like they hadn't led in a game.
Correct.
But their last 3 weeks has been okay. And I don't think they're hopeless this week, Teo.
And Ed, I guess there are some places where a broadcaster should or shouldn't go, but Bob Costas, have you got a thought either way? Because
great question.
That kind of derailed the whole issue, didn't it? The discussion got shifted somewhere else.
Yeah, Bob Costas at halftime of this of the NFL, I guess it's the Sunday night game where he does a commentary, and he went on and basically echoed the words of a very good columnist named Jason Whitlock, who's from Kansas City, and Whitlock's contention was fewer guns, less of a macho gun culture, this may not have happened. And Costas then went and offered that opinion at halftime. I think, was he in his right to do it? Absolutely. I think he's paid to do a commentary. Is it the wrong forum? Probably. People want to watch a football game. When politics like that start infringing on football, I think probably got what he deserved from the criticism standpoint, but by the same token, if you're going to get people talking about it, why not a forum like that to do it?
You're right, but nevertheless, we've heard similar comments after things like Columbine and things equally horrific. If the point's not bought after things like Columbine and similar events,
Correct.
well then, gee whiz.
Correct.
The right to bear arms, Ed. Are we talking about something that's 240 years old?
Yeah, I mean that's always the big issue, isn't it? I mean, it was raised to protect the colonists.
Is there still the chest beat back home demanding that right? Or
I think that I think you've got to realize rights are very important in America. Very, very important. Much more important than here and in Europe. And the idea of states having their own laws and people having they don't want the big government and things like that. So, look, the issue has become incredibly complicated as the country gets bigger and weapons get more sophisticated. But look,
so you're entitled to bear an AK-47, but
that's
if you think you're getting free health.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Think again.
I guess I wasn't making a point about gun
Sorry,
control.
how did we get off on that?
Well, I was going to say I'm glad that in Australian sports, if Bruce says something at halftime of Friday Night Football, it doesn't spiral out of control into a political discussion. But I guess that's different when you have such a divisive.
Well, that's right, and that's the one thing you've got to realize. That we will get onto some sport, those of you listening, but this is very part and parcel of American culture, and it is very divisive. That's the right word you used, and it's one of the things that's frustrated me the most when I've gone back to the States is people either Democrat or Republican. There's no middle ground. You either love Obama or you hate him. There's nobody that's going to say, "Oh yeah, he's okay." It's really become a split down the middle, and so half the people would be saying, "I'm glad Costa said it." The other half will be going, "He's an idiot." Yeah, hang him. Shoot him. Yeah,
the worst thing we get in Australia is Bill Lawry referring to Michael Clark having a picnic at Hanging Rock, which was a bit of a mistake. But that's basically the extent of where it'll go here.
That's right.
Hobart won for 72 off 8.4 overs, so pretty much on track. Still need another 101 runs from 68 deliveries with 9 wickets in hand. Mark Sanchez is his reign over at New York.
Well, I thought we were going to move on to taxes or something like that after the gun control issue. Sanchez threw 3 interceptions, in three quarters? He was benched.
To get Michael Moore on the line, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Tebow was injured. So Greg McElroy had to come in, and he ends up throwing the only touchdown in what was a dreadful game of football. 7-6.
That's a shocker.
Oh, the Jets in Arizona. In this day and age, that is a horrible score.
You were telling us off air that the Jets believe, or certain Jets fans believe, they're going to make the playoffs.
I wrote a column where I basically sort of said that put them in the list of their season's over and they're not going to make the playoffs, and people were all over me. Jets fans going, they're going to run the table. They've got the Jaguars, the Titans, the Chargers, and the Bills. They're going to finish 9-7. They're going to be some tiebreakers, and they're going to make the playoffs, which I find extraordinary. That people, I'm really happy if Jets fans have that much faith in their team.
I was talking to Hutchie this morning. He's in America, and he believes that there's talk that the Jets will play all 3 quarterbacks this week.
Why not? McElroy's won the game, right? So you're going to start him. You're going to bring Sanchez back in. You've still got Tebow up your sleeve. Look, maybe this master plan's going to work, but you've got to have the Steelers, the Bengals, and the Colts cooperate in this and lose a bit. And I don't see those teams slipping so much that the Jets somehow back into it. I don't see the Jets running the table. I've seen no evidence of this year that they're going to beat Jacksonville in Jacksonville, Tennessee in Tennessee, San Diego, and then go to Buffalo and win. I can't see them winning those 4. They got to drop one of those games.
Yeah,
surely.
There was some suggestion
or all 4.
Sorry. There was some suggestion that Rex Ryan only benched Sanchez because Tebow was injured and he could go to McElroy, and to do so, go to Tebow might have not been what he wanted to do if Tebow was fit. Do you buy into that, or was Sanchez playing that badly that he was
playing horribly? No,
he
was playing terribly. I think the Tebow conspiracy thing with 4 games left, I don't think it's as big an issue as it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think now you're just trying to salvage a season, whether that's Tebow, McElroy, or somebody you sign off the waiver wire, to be honest.
I mean, he could have gone to Tebow a month ago, in all honesty.
He could have, but that's where I think, as Teo's alluding to, that's where the issue becomes, is Tebow mania going to take over? Do we have to change the whole offense? Now I think you're just trying to stay alive.
So what does Tebow do? I mean, he's a wasted year.
I don't know what his contract is, to be honest with you. I don't know.
Wasted.
If
He had no
cut
choice.
him loose. Yeah, I don't. It'd be fascinating to see. In retrospect, it would have been a great thing if he'd gone to Jacksonville, gone home, been helped to try and lift that team a little bit. But I'm not sure what's going to happen now. It's a great question.
Not to labour too much on, obviously we know we had the tragedy last week, and the NFL was confronted with it again this week, and a couple of people have asked the question in regards to the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes.
Josh Brent charged with intoxication manslaughter after Jerry Brown, who's a linebacker in their practice squad, was killed. So I guess they're now confronted with the loss of a teammate as well, which is it's a horrible, horrible couple of weeks for everybody.
It is a bad couple of weeks, and we talked about this last week, and they say it in the AFL, and it does reflect society in many ways. Obviously, it's not exactly like it. I mean, it's a rarefied situation, but people do stupid things like this, and unfortunately, you're right. It's hit the NFL again, and this one, I guess, is probably a little less dramatic than the other one, but certainly no less heartbreaking.
Just to finish on the Jets, the $2 power line at Betstar right now at 2.5 points. So they're starting favourites in Jacksonville. I mean, if you're Blaine Gabbert, do you have a future in the NFL, or are you sounding out CFL clubs, or just trying to become a career backup in the off season?
I think he's too young a guy to give up, for them to give up on, or someone to give up on. I mean, it's very difficult quarterbacking these bad teams. I mean, I think that's a big problem, and that was the big issue that a lot of teams had when they drafted a quarterback early and threw him to the dogs, or to the wolves, whatever you want to say, early. And Andrew Luck and Robert Griffin Jr. haven't had to do that. And some of these other quarterbacks have just ended up getting sacked 100 times and pressured and all that. So I think it's a little too early to give up on him, but he certainly has had some problems.
Having said that, those two young men have been extraordinary, and Griffin.
And Griffin. Yeah.
Oh, how good was he last week, Griffin?
Both of them.
Yeah.
Luck throwing that touchdown pass the last play of the game. Unbelievable.
Still in this opening segment, we'll also touch on Kobe Bryant. Now, whilst the Lakers aren't getting it all together at the moment, that's still a battle for them. 30,000 points, youngest player ever to achieve that. We'll hear from him in just a moment, but an extraordinary accomplishment. Can't take anything away from that, even if the Lakers beaten fairly comfortably by Oklahoma City on Friday, even though they got within 4 points.
Yeah, look, he's a wonderful player. He's a very polarizing player, even perhaps more than LeBron. It depends. It's kind of up in the air. But Kobe's never been the friendliest guy, the warm and fuzzy guy, but there's no doubt he's an unbelievable player. Deserved it. I mean, the proof is in the pudding when you look at the points. That was a painful game to watch. I mean, if you're a Lakers fan at the moment, and I won't digress too much longer, but they're not there yet, as you said, there, and it's an ugly thing they're playing at the moment. They've got to get the chemistry, but Kobe continues to rack up the points, that's for sure.
And here's a little bit of what he had to say in his post-match press conference.
It's just a tremendous honor, man. I don't really know how else to put it. It's just just been very, very fortunate.
When you hit that shot and you reached the mark, what went through your head, Mark?
Well, I could hear the excitement from the crowd, and which I was just very appreciative of, and it's been a lot of hard work, just a lot of year in and year out, just continue to push, and like I said, I've been very fortunate to have such a long career.
Kobe Bryant there, Teo?
Ed, with the improvements in sports science, is it realistic that Kobe Bryant doesn't know when his career might end, or would he have an end date in mind for when he might have to call it a day?
From what I know about him and read about him and watched him, he strikes me as one of those guys that's just going to keep playing as long as he can. But I think Bill Simmons addressed that in one of his columns in Grantland about how Kobe's going to go out. And there is some talk that he's going to end up playing in Italy for a couple of years. He grew up there. He speaks Italian. His dad played there. So there is some potential for something like that possibly to happen.
Craig Williams in his final ride of the day on Feifei, I think, has come in fourth. The race appears to have been won, Doc, by Real Specialist, number one, I think might have got up there.
I think he's held on after being in front for a fair way up the straight.
So Craig Williams, who rode Elko Pop to third, rode Dunedin earlier in the day, finishes up with a fourth on Feifei. We do have to take a quick break. We will be running our Who Am I quiz, even without Alessander here. We'll still be running that. We'll still be giving away. It's the Game Pass either for the NBA or for the NFL. The choice, of course, is yours. So we'll be coming back on the other side of the break with that.